right. So, since you brought it up, and you are a sports fan, you want to do sports first or hostages return first? What do you want to do? Your choice.
I'm a Met fan. It's I will say that one of those recently became worse than the other one. These are all of my Met. This guy, they paid him $1 billion, nothing. This guy, they paid him $1 billion, nothing. This guy's going to ask for 7 years and $1 billion in the offseason, nothing. The only person that I trust is the mensch on the bench that I got at a Brooklyn Cyclones game. That is it. I'm sponsored by Mensch on a Bench. A lot of people have Gatorade sponsorships. I'm sponsored by the Mensch on a Bench LLC.
Eitan, as soon as I heard about the hostages, after 738 days, held longer than the hostages that were held during the Carter administration and then ending there at the beginning of the Reagan administration. 250 that were taken, 2,000 prisoners and detainees of Hamas. These were prisoners of war. They are being released. 4 bodies have been returned. 24 of the deceased there in Gaza have not been returned. But as soon as I heard the news, I said to Joe, we got to get Eitan on, because when this first started, right after October 7th, we spoke to you a couple of weeks afterwards, and you were not only angry, but really hurt by the fact that you were walking down the streets of New York and on various, polls and anything that people could put signs up saying, here is my child, please return the hostages, let the hostages go. And do you remember how you felt about that?
Yeah, I mean, they were tearing down the hostage posters, after October 7th. And my annoyance was that why would you tear it down? Why would you not just put up a sign about suffering in Gaza next to it? There's no reason to delete each other's trauma through this. And let me just say, those people tearing down the hostage posters, do us all a favor. Go out there. Take them down. They don't need to be up anymore. We got to the end of the war. The hostages are back. If you love tearing them down after October 7th in 2023, you should love doing it after October 7th in 2025.
Were you shocked Were you shocked when you're walking down the streets of New York? Now, New York has the greatest concentration of Jews living in the United States. You walk down the street and you see there's a picture of a baby on one of these posters, and then people have ripped it as best they possibly can, destroying the thing. Were you shocked by that reaction?
Yeah, yes, I was, because I thought that, at the beginning, we've learned a lot about each other as a society during this war. And one thing is that I did not think there would be such dehumanizing of the other sides. That was a big thing to overcome, and a big thing to kind of realize in real time, that there was actual, I get how you can be angry about the response, totally. But that anger was often, one, geared towards Jews in America who didn't affect this. And two, was also framed as they deserved it. It's good that they're there. This is what happens, and it was a way to delete the humanity of Israelis. And it just was a completely inappropriate thing. And I want to point out also, the crowd that was so energized against Israel and was so energized for a ceasefire and was so energized to end suffering have been silent since the ceasefire has happened. Today is the first time in 2 years where Palestinians in Gaza are celebrating, where they're getting home a lot of the people that were detained, and the Israelis are celebrating getting home the hostages that were taken on October 7th. And it's everyone in Gaza is celebrating, and then everyone at the Free Gaza rallies could not be more bummed out. It's they're all sad that the ride is over, which just kind of speaks to the lack of humanity the lack of connection, the lack of authentic want to try to find a meaningful end to this. It just has shown in the past 24 hours of a reaction. And I will say this, there's a lot of Palestinian comics and stuff like that who I don't agree with, who have posted about it in a way where I'm okay, I don't agree with you, but it's clear that you had a connection to this. I get that your family and this was a real thing to you. But at the same time, I'm seeing all these other people who it clearly meant nothing to. It wasn't anything more than a clickbait. It was a chase. It was, let's go to a party. It was, let me post, so I can do this thing, even though it doesn't mean anything, in a deeper level. And that's kind of what the past 24 hours has been like for me. And also just elation, absolute elation. Today, I think the one thing that really stood out to me about the hostage deal was that so rarely is there a definitive end to a chapter. We COVID, there wasn't like this is the day COVID ended.
Right.
Even with like the, Afghanistan pullout and all that stuff, it wasn't like there was a definitive end of day thing. There's obviously a lot more work that has to be done in phase 2 with Hamas and figuring out what to do with Gaza is obviously a long road. But today was one of those rare times where we got a definite conclusion. The hostages are back. This chapter is over, and now we can begin the process of what comes next. And it's so rare that you get an opportunity to just feel that cathartic weight get taken off of you.
It's like going 15 innings against the Tigers.
Yeah, that's right. It's like watching the Mets collapse. No,
but
that's what it is. And let me just say, by the way, Donald Trump. I'm not a Donald Trump guy. This guy is the only D-bag that could get all the other D-bags to get in line with him. Donald Trump deserves every single trophy of all time. Everyone's trying to figure out, how do we fix inflation? What do we do with racism? How do we end hunger? I'm like, just give him an Oscar award and he'll handle it, okay? Just name a problem. Oh, childhood education, that's an issue? Good. Soul Train Award. Boom. Done. Clint, you want clean water? Boom. Tony Award for Trump the Musical. Just everyone's essing them up. Just do it. Like, it's so funny that the only person, and if Kamala and Biden were in charge, we'd be in this war for 50 more years. Trump was the only one, and I say this is not, I think he's a menace in so many ways. I think that the stuff with ICE and as a president of America, not a fan, but he was the supreme D-bag that lined up all of the other D-bags in that region and said, hey, do you guys want American money? Then shut up and handle your man, okay? And then he went to Netanyahu and said, if you pull any more stuff, I will castrate you chemically, okay? That's what's going to happen right now. I will rip off your schmeckle if you don't stand the line, Bibi. And that's how it all happened. And you know what? At the end of the day, I do think that for the first time in my lifetime ever, there is a clear path to something. And there's a lot that obviously has to happen between. But we learned that the best way to get anything done is just to, J.O. Trump and then just hope for the best.
So he comes in. So a guy from Queens,
mayor of New York.
A guy from Queens, New York, understands how to talk to Netanyahu, understanding that, listen, if you keep doing this, then you're not going to get what we could give you. And Netanyahu also lost a ton of support in Israel. They are going to bring him up on various charges, right? So I think even at some point that Trump asked the president, Isaac Herzog, to pardon Netanyahu because he knows that, you got to do me a little favor here because if not, he's going to spend some time in the Gray Bar Hotel. So it is very complicated. Yes, go ahead.
John, Trump is going to drop Netanyahu like I do 2 dates after I match with someone on Hinge, okay?
Yes.
He's going to lose that number quick. Netanyahu there was a rally that happened in Hostage Square a couple days ago where it was Witkoff, Ivanka, who will be the president, just saying that,
okay.
Ivanka and Jared, and the three of them. And what happens when Bibi gets referenced?
They boom.
Boos.
Boos, yeah.
They boom. And what happens when Trump gets referenced? Cheers. It's because Israeli society saw that there was a difference between Trump and Bibi. I think that Bibi is a loser. Trump does not like being associated with losers. It's how often have we had someone in his White House or whatever that just was polling poorly or just had negative vibes around them that got cut off completely. And I do think that's what's going to happen with Bibi, where Trump does not want to deal with a guy who's unpopular in Israel. What he wants to do is find whoever the next person is. And I do think that he's asking Jared, like, hey, do you want to be president here? That moment during the Knesset speech was literally Bibi Netanyahu in the most cowardly, petty way with nothing else to gain, just being like, hey, Donald, do me one thing. Please just ask them to pardon me.
Yeah.
And Trump said, yeah, sure, whatever, loser. And that's it. And that'll be the end of it. And Gezeit Gesund, that's the end of a Megillat Bibi. You can quote me on that. I want Gezeit Gesund, that's the end of Megillat Bibi, to be trending in Seattle.
Hashtag. Real quickly, what is it that Netanyahu did that caused the people of Israel to hate him so much during the hostage the fact from October 7th, 2023. What was the beginning of the end of Netanyahu's popularity?
He kept the war going, like fully. There are documented cases. And I want to say this. The two people that were in charge of negotiating this, the two parties, are Bibi and Hamas. Hamas is number one responsible for it. They are the ones that are responsible for this. That being said, there were a lot of times where Bibi would bomb another country out of nowhere, or would do something, or would renege on a thing that had happened that was documented. And Hamas was also doing their own shenanigans. They are a terror group. It's a bunch of children. It's like asking a bunch of children to solve a Rubik's Cube, when you're going for the Hamas side of it. But Bibi did it did thwart and undercut the process at a couple times. And then I will say this also, the way that he dealt with the hostage families was disgusting, absolutely disgusting. And at a certain point, the tension in Israel became between the hostage families and the government. And I'll tell you, you don't want to be on the government side of that. And that's why, just there's a stench on Bibi at this point. I hope he ends in prison. Yeah, that's what I'll say.
All right, quickly back.
I hope he goes tour. Yeah.
Listen, from your mouth to God's ears with this, if this peace continues, Qatar is sending pilots to train in Idaho. There is a meeting that took place. Trump wasn't there for this one. This is the one that's taking place, the Summit of Peace that's going on in Egypt. So they're not there for that. But they've asked him.
Why Bibi isn't there, by the way?
Yeah, why isn't he there?
Because it's a holiday. It's actually Sukkot right now. It's the last days of Sukkot, so he can't go to actually deal with it, which is an interesting, I'm no rabbi, but like, go over there. What are you doing? Like,
He should probably be there. Prediction, how will the Mariners do against the Blue Jays?
Let me just say, Big Dumper is going to take a big old one on the rest of the Blue Jays this season. I'm rooting for the Mariners. They are who I am hoping wins. I love Cal Raleigh. I'm a big Julio Rodriguez fan. Last year, I pitched a game out there. The stadium's beautiful. I love throwing fish at people. That's a big part of your culture. Go celebrate this hostage release by getting a voodoo donut at the new Voodoo Donuts in Bellevue.
Oh, look at you, Eitan, listening. God love you, my friend. I got to call you about something happening in Make-A-Wish, so I'm going to call you about that after the show.
Yes.
But enjoy.
October 29th, I'm in Topps trading cards. I'm in the set that is releasing October 29th.
There you
Boom,
are.
Baby.
Bang, right there. There he goes. Loudest, happiest two we know, right there. Eitan, celebrate the hostages coming home, and of course the Mariners sweeping, or at least beating the Blue Jays and coming back with the World Series. Hey, there he goes. Thank you.